What attitudes and skills do you need to own over the next 12 months for you to be truly successful in your role? Would you agree you need some skills? Guys, would you agree you need a good solid attitude to be successful? Would you agree that you need both? Yeah? You'd agree. So you'd probably take the lady or gentleman that came into the interview room that had both, would you agree? Okay, however, when we share that somebody has all of the skills and they don't show the right attitude, none of you were going to hire them. And yet when we looked at somebody who didn't have the skills yet, but they had the burning desire to succeed, 60% of you guys put your hands up. Why is that? Because there's a lot of people in the world that don't have our education and don't have our background but have got further than us. Would you agree? Yeah? And there's a lot of people in this room that don't have our education in certain areas that have got much further than us. Would you agree? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you guys is within sales, it has very little to do, our limits have very little to do with our education. Let me say that again. In sales, our limits have very little to do with our education. They have actually very little to do with our skills. And they have very little to do with our background. Our limits today in sales have to do with one thing, our limits of psychology. Now, is it possible to feel phenomenal every second? No. What I'm here to do is make sure that you and your team feel 5% better more of the time. Would that be okay? How do you guys warm up before you start your sport? So my question is, we're professionals in the room. Those boys warm up. How do you warm up before you go in the office? How do you get your spirit and your body ready so before you go on stage, before you pick up the phone, before you go in that meeting that can make you your career, how do you warm up your body? How do you warm up your self-talk? Now, when you get stressed, how do you breathe? Shallow. And when we breathe shallow, you know what happens? Where does the oxygen go? Up to your brain or down? Down. And your brain gets starved of oxygen. How well can you think when you've got no oxygen in your head? You can't. So the difficulty in business is most people get more and more stressed and they don't breathe and they sit there like this and they get more tangled up and they can't think about their thoughts, they can't think about their customers, and their self-talk goes boom. Breathe. You know, breathing is a sign of life. This is my way, guys, and why do you think, Craig, you know, I'm not going to go down the high street breathing, mate, like that. You know, do what juices you. That stuff works for me. If it works for you, use it. If it doesn't, play a musical instrument. Do anything that fills your soul before you get in the office. That's what conditioning is about. It's about breathing, about getting grateful throughout the day, getting really grateful for who you are, what you do. And the third thing is, get your team to tell their brain what their brain deserves to hear. Anything that can make them feel like winners, tell it over and over and over again. Getting the team to actually do it day after day after day. You know what makes them do that? What actually takes the information you hear today, because today is not what's important. What's important is what happens tomorrow. Would you agree? So for something to happen tomorrow, we need to take action. Without goals, you don't know where you're going. The guy's absolutely spot on. Here's the next bit, which is emotional logic. Unless you know why your team want to hit their goals, they never will. In other words, Simon doesn't like cars. We've just proved it. Because if we take the real goal away from Simon, he's just said he doesn't want the car. Okay? The goal for Simon is not the car. The goal for Simon is what the car does to him. Here's the thing. Worst thing us lot can do in the room for our people, our teams, is set goals and targets for them. That is beyond criminal. If we set goals for other people, it's not their goals, so they have no emotion to get it. And even worse, if we set the goals for them, they have no clue why they're going for it. They have their own environment, they have their own genetics, they're their own people. Unless you can extract from them why they want to hit what they want to hit, they're never going to make your sales target. Because think about in the last 10 years what you have done that have made you feel extraordinary. What do you really enjoy in your life that you can do for 1 hour a day that you used to do 10 years ago when you were 20, 30 or 40? What have you forgotten to do that makes you feel passionate in your life? Is it jump out of a plane? Is it playing chess? What do you do that really drives your soul, that you did at 18 that you're not doing anymore? So the first thing is, in emotion, is, guys, we've got to move. Okay, we've got to move. Second thing is, we've got to focus on our feelings and why we want something. What's our purpose of doing anything emotionally? What's our emotional purpose? Once we've worked that out, you will get motivation. That is the only thing that will drive people, is the reason. They've got to have a deep enough reason for doing it for themselves and the people they love. That's it. Okay? So that, in a nutshell, is emotional focus.